This is Julie and Brian Perry,
Hi.
Perry Home Solutions, Keller Williams Realty. And today we're going to talk about preparing a home for sale.
Yes, the exciting topic of home preparation.
So, normally we get a lot of people that are getting ready. They're starting to think about selling their home and moving. And, it can become a little overwhelming. You're looking around your house and there's, stuff everywhere and things that need maybe a little touch up, a little repair. And you just don't know what to do, what not to do. And there's only so much time, money, resources, energy. And, a lot of people ask us, like, what should I do? What should I not do? Help me figure this out. So let's talk about that. What would be the...
Let's talk about prep.
Yes.
Okay, so home preparation, I think there's like two components to it. There's pre-listing, and then there's while we're on the market showing the home, right? And the challenge is the pre-listing part is probably the most important, because that is getting ready for the photographs, and the photographs are what like everybody's going to see. So, we're going to get those photographs and our advertising out to thousands of qualified, desired buyers. And then out of those, then, a smaller subset of them are going to decide to come and see it in person. But the majority of people are going to be seeing the photographs, the virtual tours, and all of these different things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's challenging because it may be the most important part, and it's also the earliest part in the marketing process. So another way to say that is your house needs to look the most beautiful the earliest, at the very beginning of the marketing and listing process.
Mm-hmm. So in other words, you might still have some time to focus on other minor things, but there are certain things that should be done top priority by the time we're going to take the photographs.
Kind of, sort of, although what I'm really saying is it really needs to be darn near perfect for the photos, and that's the earliest part of the process. Now, photos can be a little forgiving. If there's a piece of dust on the floor, you probably won't see it in a photo, but most of the big stuff it's relatively important when it comes to the photographs. So that is the crucial thing that I want to say there, because that's what everybody needs to hear. As far as preparing the property and the different things that you should be focusing on or not, I'm very cautious about how I give advice to people about that, because sure, everybody could just remodel their house and have a brand new house on the market. And don't get me wrong, it would make my job a heck of a lot easier. If every house is just perfect, that's an easy way to sell property. Unfortunately, not everybody's in the financial or time position to do that. So we have to make decisions. And also, whenever you change something or you want to invest money in your property with the intent of selling it, it's always because you want to say, I want to invest $1,000 because I want to make more than $1,000 when I sell it. And what I'm really careful about is not advising somebody to invest $1,000 when I know they're not going to get that $1,000 back.
Right.
So
certain
does that make sense?
upgrades, so certain upgrades that might make sense if you're going to be living in it, might not make sense if your intention, for a fact, is to move.
Yeah.
Right.
And so what are some examples of that? Questions I get daily, literally, are, what about my kitchen? What about my bathrooms? What about my backyard? Should I add a screened enclosure? Should I install a pool? Many, and those are just big ones and the ones we talk about frequently, but there's many different little scenarios and subsets in that. So the challenge is, with certain things, like if you remodel your whole kitchen and you spend $30,000 on that, I can't tell you as a professional salesperson, even though I specialize in getting absolute top dollar for residential real estate, I can't tell you that if you put $30,000 in a kitchen, that I'm going to get you exactly $30,000 more or more than that in the sale as a difference. So that's the challenge. So part of the process is I really just need to see it and give you some advice, because there are certainly scenarios in which, as in this example, a kitchen could be in such terrible condition that refinishing the kitchen, redoing the kitchen may make a lot of financial sense, because if in this scenario, if the kitchen is so far below par that we're going to have to reduce the sales price in order to compensate for that, now all of a sudden investing in updating that kitchen could make a ton of sense and result in a net profit to you in doing so. So part of the equation is how poor condition the thing that we're looking to address is, and that can influence it. And then, of course, there's other things like I mentioned, pools and screen enclosures and certain lands. Some things are, I mean, putting in a pool is $40,000, $50,000, $60,000. So you've got to be really careful about that. So the things that I like to key on are things that are going to make a big value impact for the minimal dollar outlay. Things that always have a huge impact. Paint. Now, if your house is perfect, then we don't need to worry about that. But if your house needs paint, the value of a coat of paint is so tremendous.
Yes.
The look, even the smell of the fresh paint, and the value it is when you walk into a house that's been freshly painted.
And even exterior paint, depending on the condition of the exterior. Somehow not all houses need a fresh coat of paint to go on the market, but it depends on how it looks. I mean, it can make a tremendous difference, because that's just when you pull into the house, it already looks newer. It feels
huge.
Yeah. It increases that.
Well, anyway, I've given you a couple of examples. There's many, many nuanced things to discuss when we're discussing preparing. And don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense to renovate and update things in the right circumstances. In some scenarios, it will be profitable to do so, and in some, your house will still sell faster and it will still sell for more money. Probably not enough money to make up the difference in some cases.
Right.
That is where our expertise can help guide you and maximize your investments.
So in general, because of course there's many different scenarios and factors and to consider, but let's just say in general, for the average home, what like at the top things that it should look good. Doesn't have to be like perfect or completely updated, but what are those things that are like this thing should be at least on point?
Well, you're good. That's a good question. So yes, okay. So I have kind of a laundry list of things, but I'll give you the top few.
Let's start from the exterior end. How about that?
Well, I'm gonna. Okay, that's fair, but I'm gonna start holistically. Okay. Number one, when preparing your home for sale, step one: clean the house thoroughly, top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about staging a house and furnishing it correctly. That could be a valuable conversation. We talk about renovating and remodeling. We talk about flooring. We talk about paint. We talk about all these things. What is vastly more important than any of those things is cleanliness. A beautiful remodeled house that's dirty is going to be a problem. So step one, clean the whole thing top to bottom. Light fixtures, ceiling fans, draperies on the exterior as well, pressure washing, etc. Windows, so important to clean those windows. I always say the challenge is when you have nice clean windows, people notice your beautiful backyard through the window. They do not notice that you cleaned your window. But when your windows are dirty, all they can see is a dirty window.
Something so easy to do,
Exactly.
Right.
So that's crucial. And I'll go through a couple things. Number two is declutter. Remove anything, and here's the definition, my definition of clutter. It's anything that does not serve a decorative purpose.
Right.
And also, subnote to that one, if you have to ask whether or not it should be out in display, 99% chance you should probably just hide it somewhere.
Right. Less is more when
Less
it comes
is more.
to stuff around the house. Mm-hmm.
And then those are the fundamentals. And then beyond that, now we start talking about different things that we can start adjusting around the house, staging to a large degree, and any updates or renovations or painting and things of that nature.
Landscaping.
Yes. On the exterior, let me just touch on that because I know that's important, okay? And I actually have a laundry list of preparation items here that will make this video very boring if I go through them, but I'll give you a couple of important things. Number one is most buyers make their decision on the home they're going to buy within the first 30 or 45 seconds of them arriving at the property. So that's extremely important. We're talking about marketing. How do you market the home correctly, and how do you elicit top dollar? Well, recognizes when buyers actually make the decision is crucial. And if you think about it, in 30 or 45 seconds, they have not even entered your home yet. So what is that? That's curb appeal. That's where curb appeal becomes absolutely crucial, because when they're arriving in that home, they pull up in the car, maybe the realtor's with them, they're in the car or a separate car, and they both get out, and then they walk up to the door, and then you're fumbling with the lock thing or whatever you're doing, or waiting for the door to open or whatever. You've already been there for a minute. that very likely they've already made a decision.
They already looked around, went like this.
So you had mentioned cleaning up the exterior, painting the exterior of the house. Now, if it needs it, right? I mean, if the house looks fantastic, then it's not a thing. However, many homes need paint jobs. And the difference between that and not is substantial. Landscaping, absolutely crucial. There are many different guidelines we can give you there, but some nice fresh flowers are always great. And of course, fresh mulch. I just had a client say, well, the mulch, after a couple months, it just kind of goes away.
Yeah.
But we're not doing it. We're doing it for aesthetics. Because the reality of it is, if we're selling some kind of an engineering project here where a bunch of engineers are going to go in and analyze it and test out all the equipment, that's a whole different thing. But we're not selling that. We are selling residential homes. And these are very aesthetic.
And emotional decisions as well.
It's an emotional decision. And these people aren't really lifting up the hood as much. It's more, how does it look, feel, and smell when I'm here? Their initial first impressions are the most crucial. Very, very important. And anything I didn't touch on there? Or is that all of it?
I think for the most part, without going too much.
I think we got pretty deep there anyway.
Okay, so I've done all of this. My landscaping looks beautiful. I pressure washed my driveway, my walkway. I have plants next to my front door. Everything looks beautiful. It's clean. It smells great.
Maybe want it already.
And I'm booking the appointment for the pictures. And everything is decluttered, clean, things put away. It kind of looks like almost nobody lives there. It's so perfect. And now we're on the market. We're now getting showings.
Yes.
We're getting ready to start showing it to buyers.
Yep.
And then what happens at that point?
So now is when people are actually physically seeing the house, which is also rather important, okay? So the pictures and the marketing and everything are really simply designed for a few different reasons. But one of the main purpose of those things is to get people into the house. Once they're in the house, now salespeople and marketing become significantly less relevant because now the home becomes the salesperson. Because again, back to the whole engineer thing versus selling a home to a family, which is primarily what we do, it's all about the look and smell and feel of it as a home and then making that emotional connection to it when they see it. That is absolutely crucial. That's why cleanliness, fresh paint, aesthetics, and staging to a large degree play a massive role in the sale of the property. Important things like what type of nails were used on your roof and how much insulation your home has and other things that you can't see by seeing the house. Those are important information, but at the actual major decision point when the buyers are in the house, those things are irrelevant. Your house is speaking for itself, and it's either going to appeal to them or it's not. And at that point, we need to make sure we have our best foot forward because there's no salesperson that's going to talk them into it if they don't like it.
Right.
So
like
that's
if it doesn't feel like a home to them and they can't envision themselves living in it, it doesn't matter if the salesperson starts going through a bullet point of upgrades and showing the things around. They need to, like he said, the house is the protagonist, and the house is the one that's gonna say, "I'm here, buy me, move in here."
And so all the preparation components that we mentioned to prepare for getting it on the market also apply to showings to a large degree. And however, it could be a little more forgiving if you're living in the home and there's an errant shoe there. I don't think people are going to shoot you for that. But it is crucial that it looks good and smells good too. We love putting little scent things in different areas of the house, especially that front door as you're walking in.
How about the brightness level?
Brightness is important, obviously. Yeah, opening up all the blinds, turning all the lights, especially now in the era of COVID. And you may be watching this video when COVID is affecting us tremendously, and hopefully by the time you watch this video, it's not affecting us at all. That would be awesome. However, in the era of COVID, we take a little extra precaution. So what we like to do is maybe tell the homeowner, okay, when we know we have a showing, why don't you just go ahead and turn on all the lights automatically?
And open the blinds.
Why don't you open up all the blinds? And by the way, we do commit a couple of small sins now that we wouldn't normally do. We open up all of the doors in the house to begin with. That just limits the amount that people in the home have to actually touch surfaces,
right,
which I think everybody sort of appreciates, right? But yeah, opening it up, making it bright, and that's all important for the aesthetical component of showing the house. And then opening up doors and keeping on all the lights is also an aesthetic component, but it also is a COVID-related safety precaution as well. Okay. And we could talk on and on about that, but I think that's the important place. Any more questions?
Right. I think that pretty much covers the before going on the market and the initial stages of those very important first showings where we want
Yes.
the first impression. You know.
And this is kind of just a brief kind of overview. When you call us and say, you know, Brian, I want to sell my house, the first step is invite me out there, let me take a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about the different components that might be of concern and not so much.
Right.
And I give you some advice and guide you through the whole process. You don't have to memorize all of this, but these are just kind of a general overview to keep in mind as we're preparing.
Right. Each situation is unique. Every house is unique, and so everything will need this is an overall, you know, review. But of course, we would love to meet with you in person, see your lovely home, and then see how we can help you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
Talk to
Julie.
you later. Bye.
Bye.